Funny story. All I had to do was show these deer my PSE bow and they just tipped over. If you want the same thing to happen to you, I want to make it easy. PSE giveaway. All you gotta do, like, subscribe, comment to be entered in the giveaway. Simple enough. You want to be cool? You want a PSE? That's all you gotta do.
What is up, guys? We got a big video today. We got a guest. We got my good buddy Caden Willems, the lone QDMer. We're going to talk about a couple things today that I don't necessarily have an expertise in. Some of them I do, but some of them, one of these topics, Caden has way more experience with, and so we're going to go back and forth. And both of us use one of these tactics as well, so we can kind of bounce ideas off of each other, and kind of, you know, describe each other's setups and when we're using what, because there's really a time in which you can be a saddle hunter, you can be a mobile hunter with a tree stand on your back, and maybe you should be setting up permanent sets. Caden does a fair amount of saddle hunting, right?
Yeah.
What type of saddle are you using?
I'm using a tethered setup right now. It's one of the earlier models that they came out with. It's real versatile. It's definitely a lot different than hunting out of a hang-on, but it's nice, lightweight, easy to set up. Your harness is somewhat built into it already, so all you got to do is set up the sticks. And
so let's talk about that for a second. I mean, how many years did you hunt without a saddle? Like, you had a mobile setup on your back, correct?
Yeah.
Like a considerable amount of time.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the scenario for most people? Because maybe we have people logging into this video, coming to this video and thinking, you know, and we'll get into the permanent sets as well, but maybe thinking, all right, am I going to be a saddle hunter? Am I going to be a mobile hunter with a tree stand on my back? What's the scenarios that you use which? I mean, what makes you grab the saddle versus grabbing, you know, the mobile setup?
Okay, yeah, so if I'm going to be hunting, you know, public land where you're going really far back and you have to, you know, walk a long ways, or it's a harder walk, I'm definitely going to be reaching for my saddle. If you're hunting higher pressure deer where they're not coming out till, you know, the last 30 minutes of light, and you don't need to be in the stand for 4 or 5 hours every night, the saddle's a good option. Like I said, it's easy to set up. You don't have to deal with hanging the stand. I guess one of the cons is it's just not as for me, it's just not as comfortable as a hang-on.
And I hear people go both ways about that. Some people are like, oh, it's the best thing since sliced bread. And then, I mean, Cade and I, we don't have any sponsorship or any affiliation with anybody from, you know, a saddle perspective. So him being honest, he says, like, it gets a little bit of a literally pain in the ass if he has to sit in it for a long amount of time.
Right. So, and I think it would definitely depend on maybe on your body type, or I think the newer ones have like a few more adjustments you can make. For me, it just starts to pinch my hips a little bit after a couple hours, so it's kind of, you end up getting a little bit uncomfortable, and you're moving up, you're moving down, and if you don't have a nice pair of boots too, if you're just standing on pegs or if you're just standing on your sticks, they can get uncomfortable too. But if I'm going really far back, or if I'm hunting, you know, far back on public land, I'm definitely reaching for my saddle. I guess another topic we could hit is people ask, you know, how easy is it to shoot out of a saddle?
I was going to get into that because the offside shot scares the hell out of me, and that's why I refuse to use one, but you've got more experience with it.
So a lot of it has to do with how you set it up. If you leave your lead rope a little bit longer, it gives you more of a swing, so you can kind of swing around, and you almost have a 360.
You're able to shoot 360.
Yeah, as long as you don't have brush around the tree, or if you're in, you know, a pine tree or something where there's limbs. Obviously if you're right-handed or left-handed, but left-handed it's pretty easy to shoot. I mean, you can swing backwards, you can go you can almost curl around the tree and shoot, you know, on your right side.
Yeah.
I'd say the worst spot is probably right over your right shoulder. So if you're setting up your saddle, you might want to think, like, you know, how you're setting it up, or just to make that blind spot on your right shoulder. Obviously if you're left-handed, it'd be the opposite shoulder, but a few instances where you have to, if you have your bow hanging on the left side, you kind of have to pick it up, bring it over the other side, and then your bridge it's kind of in the way, so it gets a little bit twisty, but it's definitely doable. It's just a little bit different, I guess.
So I guess we should clarify too, Caden brought up before that he'll stand on his sticks, he'll stand on his pegs. Do you think that would change that offside shot if you were to purchase one of these platforms? Like, would that make it easier in your opinion? Or do you think, I mean, it is what it is?
Yeah, footing plays a part in it. sometimes I'll have my stick kind of the same height as like tree pegs, if I'm able to use tree pegs on my land or wherever you can use them. I'll put like 2 pegs pretty much like on one side of the tree and the other side of the tree. And I think that gives you enough footing to like move around the tree and be able to get a shot off. I think the platforms would be nice. It would be a lot easier on your feet. Obviously, if you're standing on a peg, it's like one sharp object just like poking into your foot. So
right.
You'd have to have a boot that has like a real firm sole, or obviously a platform's a good. But on the same aspect, I guess if you're going to set up a platform, you're one step away from setting up a hang-on stand too.
Yeah, at that point, why not just use the stand? And that's the thing. So Caden and I have been mobile hunting for a long time now, and for the most part, I still, well, 100% of the time, if I'm mobile hunting, I'm still only using that hang-on tree stand. And for me, it's just the sense of maybe a little, maybe it's not even safer, but just having something like physical that's you know, it's a structure that I'm actually sitting on, and maybe it's just something that I'm used to. For me, I would prefer to go that route. Some of these lightweight hang-ons like that I'm currently using allow you to pack more gear onto the back. So depending on the given scenario, maybe you're packing in rattling antlers and things like that, I can put those right on my stand. Now, sure, yeah, you could probably go in with a backpack with the saddle and things like that. The main reason, if I had to be totally honest with you, if we're talking about when to use a saddle, when to use a mobile setup, and we'll get into it, maybe when to use your permanent setups instead, man, it's that offside shot, and that scares me. There's a lot of moving that goes on at that point, and hell, it might even take place when you're in a hang-on stand. And if you guys dabble with both, drop some comments and let us know what you're seeing in your situations and how it works for you. But that, I mean, there's still scenarios, I'm sure, when you got to move around a lot in the stand. We know that, but that offside shot is what's always personally scared me. And when we talk about that offside shot, if I'm a right-handed shooter and I'm shooting to the left, and we're talking about how do you get over to the right, there's a lot of movement that's going to take place. Obviously, with some practice, you know, somebody like Caden who does it a fair amount, it's easier. Otherwise, there's going to be a learning curve for you. I would probably recommend doing some practicing otherwise in the yard. For sure. So with that being said, guys, that's what kind of when we're going mobile, or when we're going to use a mobile stand versus you know, like a saddle. And as far as, let's get into the permanent sets. When should you use permanent sets versus the mobile sets? Honestly, for me, next to never. Okay, unless I have permission on a piece of ground or own my own piece of ground, I'm probably not using it much, because I'm going to need the elements of surprise in my favor in a lot of the scenarios that I'm hunting. So if these deer know that these stands are here and I'm hunting them frequently, you just don't have the element of surprise. So times in which that you probably should be using these permanent sets, guys, are when you have these bulletproof access routes. They're in the right spot. You're well hidden. All these other things, they're on pieces of ground in which people don't hunt them super often. So I guess more than anything, this video kind of ended up being more saddle versus mobile setup. But there is a time and a place in which it's okay to use your permanent sets. And hell, if you guys got enclosed blinds, let's face the facts, that's a great time to be hunting, you know, in that scenario. And actually, you could even speak to that as far as the scent control side of things. I mean, how big of a difference is it hunting in an enclosed blind on your own property versus in a mobile set or an open tree stand? It's definitely a big difference. I'd say the downside of it would be like the viewing. Sometimes the windows, like you have blind spots. Yeah, you have blind spots. So I mean, that's a little bit of a downside, but the scent control factor is just, it's hard to beat. You can keep the windows closed. You know, if you got deer coming in downwind, you can just keep your windows closed until they get in a spot where the wind's not blowing. Then you can open your window and make the shot. You can get away with hunting more marginal winds at the end of the day. So if we had to break down why you should hunt with a saddle, why you should hunt with a mobile stand, and why you should be, or in which situation should you be hunting permanent sets, guys, that's probably the way that we would best describe it in those given scenarios. So if you guys like these videos, you like these quick tips, make sure that you like and subscribe. We're always doing giveaways. If you're liked and subscribed, you're entered in the giveaways. And who doesn't like some free stuff? See you guys next time.